Hello. I would say welcome back to the Thrive Life podcast, but not quite. We are interrupting our regularly scheduled program to just have a brief chat. These past few months have been challenging, or maybe a month and a half. It's been challenging. The last podcast episode we did was a live session that we held rather, based on career, preparing to thrive in this job market, which is constantly getting even more challenging. Since that last podcast, we all know there's been a change in administration in the office of the President of the U.S., which has brought about some pretty significant and drastic changes to people's lives. And I just couldn't continue with the podcast as originally planned without addressing some of the things that have happened that have personally caused me to have a lot of concern, even with things that may not be directly impacting me. The Bible says, weep with them that weep, rejoice with them that rejoice. And so I feel for a lot of the things that are going on, whether it has a direct impact on my life or not. So there's just about maybe 2 to 3 things I wanted to discuss before continuing with the Thrive Life podcast. One of the big challenges that I have been dealing with as it relates to this change in administration is that accepting that this was going on is what a lot of people wanted. There are a lot of people that voted for this, and what is happening, they support. They wanted an overhaul in government. They wanted drastic changes, which I do believe are needed. But the disregard for how these changes are taking place and how these changes are impacting people's lives is something that I did not expect people to still support, right? It's like, okay, we want this, but the method in which it's being done, people stand by and they justify and they support it. And that's been really challenging for me to accept. I'm not of the mindset that just because something isn't impacting my own household, that's not important. I think ultimately we're all connected, and if you think something is not impacting you, eventually it will. From immigration, right? I'm natural-born U.S. citizen, but I used to work in immigration, and I got out of it during the first Trump administration because I noticed a drastic change then. I can imagine living and being concerned about, losing your citizenship, or having ICE show up at your child's school, ICE show up at your job, and your world just be torn upside down. I don't know what it's like to live in that fear, but I feel for those people that do. Being a federal and government employee, which, that was a lot of people's dream. Like, they wanted a federal job, and now it's so much uncertainty with having a federal job, where previously it was an amazing thing to have a federal job, and there was confidence that there was job security in working for the federal government, and now there's so much uncertainty. Not sure if they need to participate in this buyout program. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. People built 20 plus years career in DEI. Now they're having to maybe pivot because they are afraid that the work they're doing is illegal. Or you have those people who are standing 10 toes down. And I appreciate those people who are standing 10 toes down in the DEI work that they have done and that they will continue to do, because it's trying to be skewed in the media as it being a choosing, someone who looks like me that's not qualified over someone that is. And that's not what DEI is at all. So I care for the people who are dealing with so much right now. And I believe God is a God of justice. And I believe he will make all wrongs right in due time. Another big concern that I have is this blind allegiance to this president. I've never personally seen it before, and possibly it's because it's never been needed, right? Even though I don't agree with past presidents' policies, the way they went about business, at minimum, for the ones in my generation, at least there's been decency and order. But the way things are being done right now are not being done with integrity or any sort of decency. And people are blindly allegiant to that, and I do not understand it. I do not understand being able to justify and feeling the need to justify the incredible wrong that is being done. To me, there is a spiritual wickedness behind it. And I am not trying to be deep, but what I've seen, even with there was something I saw online, a meme or something, trying to justify Musk having access to taxpayer information. Musk is a corporation, and people are justifying that, and he was not elected. It's evil. And then the most important and biggest concern I have and challenge that I'm facing is response of the church. There are people that are in the church that call themselves disciples and followers of Jesus Christ, and they support what is happening based on one thing. I had an Uber driver over the summer that was trying to convince me to vote a certain way, and their reason was trying to play on my faith, because I think it's obvious if you talk to me for more than 2 minutes what I believe. And they were trying to play on that, saying that he's going to restore families and he's going to bring order back to society. Forgive me for not believing. With all respect that is due, and this is no shade to anyone who may be in this situation, but I don't look to someone that has 5 children with 3 women to be the restorer of families. I don't. You cannot sell that to me, because I will not buy it. But there's a response in certain areas of the body of Christ where people are utilizing that one idea to justify everything else. And they are saying, and I can't believe it, but they're saying that this is God's will. And that blows my mind. The will of God is to restore and to bring his kingdom to earth. That is the perfect will of God. We are not living in his will when sin came into this world. His will, it will be established. It will be established. But to say that Donald Trump is the mechanism for which it's happening is delusional. I'm not going to curve what I have to say. I'm just going to say it. Laying aside my religious beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, there's morally what is right and what is wrong. Right now, there are hurricanes destroying cities, fires destroying entire neighborhoods, planes crashing at rates like never before. Now, more than ever, is the time for the church to be the church, to be the salt of the earth, to be light in this dark place. I love the Lord so much. That makes me emotional. And one of the things that I love about the Lord is that he allows us to choose him. He gives us free will. He wants us to come to him, not for it to be forced. It says in Revelations 22:17, and the Spirit and the bride say, come. And let him who heareth say, come. And let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Freely. We are to come to God freely. It's not through the passing of laws. It's not through forcing or dragging. It's through drawing others to Christ. To think that we can vote a certain way and God's will be established is quite lazy. It's a lazy response as a church, as the body of Christ. This podcast was designed to talk about thriving in life through Christ. And even in what is going on right now, we still can. Yes, we are fighting a battle. Yes, we are fighting spiritual wickedness in high places. But the power that God gives us through His Spirit, the power to tread upon serpents, as Spirit-filled believers, we have that power. And so I'm excited to resume the podcast, but I had to first address today. You know where I stand. You know what I believe. Most important, I hope that anytime that I will come and share, you would see it from my heart and with a true intention to share the good news of Christ. Love you all. Be blessed.